welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, howdy, I'm glad you made it. I'm so excited you're here today because today we will be unboxing the Soft Flex Design Challenge Kit from May 2025. This one's called Surf's Up. I haven't opened it yet, so we'll be discovering all the goodies together. The beads, the components, and a special bead strand that I just had to get. Stick around though, because after the unboxing, I'll be creating a quick little surprise project using the materials from the kit. So let's dive in and see what treasures the ocean has brought us today. Alrighty everyone, so here is your kit. Now you get some extra beads besides what's on the mat here. Some of the beads, some of them, like these little guys, we get like 18 of these, we get 3 of these, so they're huge, so some of them just don't fit on the little tray. So you get a little bit more than what you see here. So we'll go through the contents of the kit first, and this is included in the kit. So the next little clip, I'll open this little guy up, and then we'll see all the individual portions of this guy. Then after that, we'll do the extra bead strand that I had purchased. And then after that, we'll do our little tutorial. So already getting some ideas when I started laying all these things out. So already getting a couple of ideas. So the first thing we end up getting is a full spool of the Soft Flex Fluorite medium beading wire. So this is a 49 strand beading wire. And then here is the color of the fluorite, which is a very nice soft green color, which my lighting keeps changing because we had rain earlier, and so I thought this was going to be good enough lighting, so I may have to make it, there we go, we're in focus a little bit now. And there goes my dog. Thanks, Casper. So there we go, now we can kind of see it. So there is your beading wire that you get with this kit. Love this color, good color to have. Alright, so now, in between the barks, we'll start looking at the contents of the kit. It's like, and my door's closed right now, so that's how loud my dog barks. So you always get some sort of crimp tubes. So this month we're getting the sterling silver crimp tubes, and they are the 2x2mm crimp tubes that Soft Flex produces. You get actually 2 pairs of ear wires. So these are just the French ear wire. Some people call them fishhook ear wires. I really don't know the actual right name for them. I interchange the names, but they're just that type of an ear wire with a little ball at the end for a little decoration. To me, it kind of reminds me of like a ball head pin that somebody just shaped into an ear wire, which you could do that too if you needed to. If you didn't have any ear wires and you have some head pins, you could do that. And then you get a silver-plated 12mm lobster claw clasp. So it's just your typical lobster claw. Love those for necklaces. That's typically what I use. You also get some starfish. So these are kind of cute. You've got the one this one's turned backwards. So you can kind of see the backwards portion of it. And I think I am going to go ahead and turn on the lights a little bit brighter. Okay, yeah, I think you can see that a little bit better. So this is the back side of the charm, and then here is the front side. So the front side has a little bit more of detailing on the front, and then the back, it's actually indented a little bit in the back, and it's got a little bit of an antiquing to it, so that's why you see the difference. You can see more of the details. There we go. I'll think of the right word. So you see more of the details on the front and the back and everything because it's antiqued. So that's really neat. You also get some sort of a Nautilus ceramic pendant. So here is the pendant that I got. Now you may end up getting something similar. It may be a slightly different color maybe, or it may be a different type of pendant. But here is where your hole is consistent of. It goes straight through the pendant like that. So very, very neat. Love the colors. So that one's really cool. Then you get teeny tiny ceramic beach balls and 1 large beach ball. And these look like beach balls. The ones that we used to play with a lot when we were kids. So definitely something that I'll be using in a project sometime or another. And when we go up to the next little dish, these are 3mm opaque turquoise with travertine fire polish beads. So you get a little bit of those. So you can see a little bit of the travertine. The travertine portion of it is going to be that little bit of a brown that you see every once in a while, if you're not familiar with that type of a wash. But that is the travertine ones. The next ones are 6mm silver-plated topaz Austrian crystal square dells. So it's like a rondelle, but it's in a square shape. And then those are your crystals. And they are Austrian crystals. So they are very, very well-made crystal. Will last for a very long time as far as the sparkle and the color. So you get a pair of those. And then these are the guys that we have, I think a total of 18, I believe is what I counted. So these are Japanese bamboo, carnelian colored, striped barrel beads. So these are really, really neat. So they're extremely lightweight. And I'm almost thinking about making a necklace for my tutorial, and I might use these guys and probably maybe some of these. Something I might just kind of sit down and have and just kind of design along on the fly, sort of, on this one, rather than having something completely planned out. I may do a design on the fly more on this one. But I'm probably going to use these. Those are pretty neat. I like that. These guys are check glass turquoise beads, and they kind of look like a fish. They've got like the markings of a fish and everything, and even the shape sometimes is kind of like a tilapia patty. I don't know if patty is the right word for a fillet. It's fillet. Yeah, fish fillet. Maybe. Something like that. I do eat fish, I just don't eat it very often because my kid doesn't like it. But so that's what the bead looks like, and then that's the other side. So you get a little bit of a different variation, and then like this one has, you know, you can even see a little dot there in the center. So each bead is a little bit different than the other. They're just about the same type of size, same type of shape, but each bead looks a little bit different because of the glass. And then this is actually the glass shell beads. So you get, I think, four of each of these types. So you get one that looks more like this type of a shell here. And then you have the hole in a similar fashion where it goes down the top. See if you can see the hole. Maybe, I don't know. You can kind of see the hole, but it's similar to this guy here where it goes straight up and down. And then this one is more of kind of like a clam, is what it reminds me of. And then your hole goes down the top up here too. So it goes down the center of the bead from here to here. So that's the first portion of the kit. So come back to me in just a second, and then I'll have the Jesse James Beads little guy of these all laid out, and then we'll see what's in this one. I'll meet you back in just a second. Alrighty, so here is the Jesse James Custom Bead Mix for the Surf's Up collection. So there's a lot of beads that come in that little itty bitty small tray, and some of the beads are sitting off the side of the mat because I had to roommate situation a couple of these because I ran out of room. So we'll start off with number A over here. So you get a total of eight of each of these colors. So you have more of a sand color that's more of kind of an opaque sand. And then you have more of like the sunshiny color. So it's like a topaz or a very light topaz with a little bit of an AB finish on them. And you get a total of 8 of both of those colors. You get 2 of these guys, which are just oval crystals, so they're sparkly. So you can see how the light's catching them a little bit. You get 2 of those oval ones, so they're very, very neat. And then you get 2 of these guys also, which are more of kind of like a barrel bead. And those are very sparkly as well. You get 6 of a round, looks like an 8mm round crystal bead. And it's like an opaque orange color with a little bit of, might be AB finish, or it may be just like a luster type finish to it. I'm not quite sure. It's hard to tell if it actually has an AB to it or not. But they're very pretty, very good to use in beach-themed jewelry and stuff. You get 2 of these guys, and these are very pretty crystals. They're both the same on both sides. This one does look like it has a little bit of AB finish. It kind of looks like it's like just a darker version of the rondelles that are back over here. So it has a little bit of an AB finish. They're a little bit darker in color. Very, very pretty. Reminds me of the sun. As well as this one. So you have one nice large focal crystal that you can use. And this one does have an AB finish as well. I can see a little bit of the purples and blues and pinks coming through whenever it moves around. Sometimes it's very hard to pick up on the camera, but that one does have an AB finish. You get 4 of these guys, and these little guys are really, really, really pretty. They're like a transparent blue color. I wish I knew the name of the color, but it is really pretty. They're crystal, so they're like a disco bead, and then it's got a little bit of an AB finish on it also. So it's very, very pretty. I like those guys. Quite big for what they are. They're like a 10 or a 12 millimeter, but quite big, but those are really, really pretty. Definitely going to be using those in something. Then you get some little rondelles. They're kind of like Hishi type beads, where they're the thin wafer look to it, where it's that little look. So, and it's magnesite is what it looks like. So you can kind of see sometimes you have a little bit of a brown inclusion right there, like on that bead. That's what kind of makes me think that it's probably magnesite, which is a very good, less expensive option than turquoise. So if you don't want to use turquoise, real turquoise in your products, then magnesite would be a very good, less expensive option to use. You get some, they're not squares, well they're squares, but they're cubes. Squares in 3D. So that means that is a cube. So you get some green opaque cube beads there. You have some bead caps. Usually comes with bead caps of some sort, and these are really neat. And they are a gold bead cap, but it looks like they've been washed over with a light green color to it. So it's like they've been antiqued is not the right word. There's another word for that when they use green on top of stuff like that. I can't think of the right word. But anyways, they're very, very pretty. So this one's upside down, so you can still see a little bit of the green inside the bead cap. And then this is right side up. So these are really, really nice. You get a total of 8 of these guys. So enough to use in a really good necklace portion. And then you get 2 tassels. I like tassels. I'm a person who really likes tassels, and I know I've got some people out there that watch my videos that cannot stand tassels at all. And I can think of one person's name right now, for sure, that she cannot stand tassels at all. So, I'm sorry. I like them. So those are cute. They're very tiny. Then you get a total of 4 of these, and they kind of look like moon rock to me. They're like detailed, just round beads, and then they have the hole just going through the side. So it's probably like a lava stone. Is probably what it actually is, and then it's been either electroplated or coated with just a gold coating to it. But they're pretty. You got some more gold spacers, just little washers again, and there's not really any detail to them. They're just smooth on the edges of them. And then you end up with your typical little daisy spacer, just a gold daisy spacer. So that is the custom bead mix that comes in the kit. So then in my next clip, I'm going to go through the bead strand, which is your add-on purchase. So I'll see you back in a second. Alrighty, so here is the Jesse James Bead Strand that comes as an extra add-on purchase to the kit. So we'll go through this real quick and then we'll start our tutorial. So you get a couple little small rondelles, and these are like a dark green with almost a little bit of a blue finish to it. So those are really pretty. Nice little crystals. You get some larger green opaque crystals again. So these are rondelles again, and nice and sparkly. These you get 3 of these guys, and these are very similar to the lighter color beads that was in the previous clip in the little tray that comes with the kit. So they're very nice, very opaly in the interior, and then you can kind of see that there's a little bit more of a darker, almost an outline because of the glass that they use, that it's more darker around the edge and everything. So those are really pretty. I like those. And these are some hearts, which I love getting hearts. I like using hearts in my designs. And they're pretty thick. Nice little crystal heart that goes down the center. It's kind of a light bluish green crystal again. Very similar to this one, just more of a transparent crystal color. Then you get two of these guys. These guys are really cool. They feel like they're probably clay. And then with a little bit of embellishment of different metals and stuff like that. So your hole goes down the center, and then the design is the same on either side. And then you have that little bit of a rope detail along the edge. So I might be using those in the necklace that I'm hoping to do as well. I might use those. Not quite sure what I'm going to use yet, so we'll see. Then we have some cute little crystals. These are the ones that we've been getting in some of the strands lately, where the hole goes down the center. And then you have just a whole lot of crystals around the edge, and these look like they're crystal AB, or the color of the crystal with the gold. Then you get some gold washers, and these are indented a little bit, so they are a wave type shape, where it's got that indentation to it. So very neat, very different to use. You've got more of your traditional daisy type spacers again, but just a larger size than what came in the little tray. And then you end with some bead caps. You get a lot of bead caps in this one. This is a lighter color gold. It's almost a rose gold color in a way, but they're very, very pretty. You've got these that are upside down right here, and then this one's sitting right side up. So it's got details on both sides again. So that's your bead strand. Alrighty, so meet me back in just a minute, and I'll get a bunch of different things out, and then we'll do kind of sort of a design on the fly just to see what we come up with. Meet you back in a second. Alrighty, so I usually have a screen that pops up before I do my tutorial that tells you the different supplies that you'll need for the whatever it is that I'm making for that time, for that video. Well, this one I'm kind of doing more of a design on the fly, so I just have a couple of beads out that I decided, okay, I think I'm going to use these. We'll go through the design process, and then I'll break away after we can design it and everything, and then I'll break away, finish it off, and then show you the finished product and everything, and show you how to finish it off with the crimp tubes and adding the clasp and things like that. And then after that, at the very end, then I'll have a supplies list before we go to the end of the video. So that way, if you like, you can watch my design process, and this is usually what I do whenever I'm coming up with something, and get some ideas that way. So I have out some extra little things here. All of this came in the kit up here at the top, so this is all from the kit itself. I do have my Yuki seed beads. I like to use a lot of seed beads in my projects. It's what we're doing today, we're probably going to use them as spacer beads basically, but I do a lot of bead weaving, so I have a whole lot of different colors of seed beads. So if you don't have this particular color, which I believe is just silver lined gold, if I remember right, it's my Yuki's number 3. That, if you can see that right there, it says 11S3, but that just means it's my Yuki's number 3. If you don't have this particular bead and you want to purchase that to follow along and do something similar to this, I do have a link down below in the description, and that will link you to a company to be able to purchase these beads if you like. So this is usually what I do. I get everything out, figure out what I'm going to end up using. Sometimes I add beads, sometimes I don't. And then just kind of make little piles of everything. So I'm going to pour out some of my seed beads. And before I forget, I have my little crimp tubes. I always put my crimp tubes in a little tray like this. So it's just a little container that the top screws off the top lid, but then you also have all these extra little containers too. So all my crimp tubes go in a little tray like this. So I'll put this link down below too, because the same place that you can get the seed beads at, you can also get one of these too if you like to. So I'll put that down in the link as well. Alright, so usually what I do is I start off with just a couple of beads so I can kind of get an idea of what I'm going to do. Now these I have to be careful with because I only have a certain amount of these, I have a certain amount of these, and I think it was 2, 4, 6. 6 of those guys. I thought I had 8. Maybe I only have 6. Okay, but I have 8 of these guys. And then I have a little bit more of these, and then I have 18 of these. So I just try to keep that in mind. I usually try to get like half out of these things. So when I'm stringing things together or getting it kind of set up to the way that I want to or feel like I'm going to end up making with, then I'll have kind of an idea what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're going to move these up to the top. And then I know I'm going to start off with one of these guys. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. More than likely I'll have a seed bead, and then one of the fire polishes, and then another seed bead. That's typically what I do. Now the only thing that I'm kind of concerned with is that the hole on these bamboo beads may not be, the seed bead may go through that hole. So let's see if we can test it out real quick. All I'm doing is I'm just moving the little plastic part that keeps the wire on the spool. I'm just moving it around a little bit to get some of the wire to kind of stick out, so that way it stays on the spool. So let's test it out real quick. So we've got an 11-0, got the bamboo bead and the 11-0, and then I'm just going to sit here and kind of put a little pressure to it and see if we lose the 11-0s. Which it kind of looks like we might. We might have a little bit of problem with some of them, because like this one right here is kind of getting lost in that bamboo bead. So I may not worry about that too much. I may end up just making the necklace to begin with, because the green wire, if it shows through, well, it shows through. It kind of goes along with the theme, so I may not worry about that too much. But so the 11-0s may be a little bit too small. If you have 8-0s, those would be a perfect size, but I don't have any silver-lined 8-0s, or silver-lined gold 8-0s right now. So we're just going to use the 11-0s, and if they get lost, they get lost, and if you see more of the wire, then you see more of the wire. That's the way it's going to go on this one. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off with that, and then we'll probably put another one afterwards. So I'll probably do that pattern a couple of times. So let me just put one more pattern out like that. And then I'll want to change it up and use some of these eventually. I think I'm going to end up doing I almost want to do more of a choker. Now, choker necklace is going to be closer to like a 14-inch. For me, choker is more like a 16-inch. So I think I'm probably going to do a 16-inch, and then I can always add an extender on the end, so that way if somebody wants to wear it a little bit longer, they can. So I think we'll do this type of a pattern, so that way we're still keeping to the same type of theme, where it's a gold seed bead, then a turquoise bead, and then a gold seed bead, but we're going to do the washer and then the cubes in between, and then we'll keep up with that. We'll put another one of those. So I think that might be what I do. Now, lengthwise, let's see. Let's go ahead and put this together and see what this exact pattern looks like. So we'll start off with this bead, we'll end over here, we'll add all these guys on. Let's see how long that ends up being, and then I can kind of get an idea from that if I'm going to have enough of the cubes to be able to do this same pattern at least one more time, if not 2 more times. And all I'm doing off screen right now is just the same thing. And sometimes it kind of gets, the wire gets a little messy. That happens. And it's just because the way the wire is on the spool, it kind of works itself out sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so I got enough spread out. So I'm going to go ahead and just string on these guys. Then I'm going to see what it's going to look like, kind of get a measurement. And all I do for measuring is literally just get my measuring tape out and measure on a flat surface. That's all I ever do. for my necklaces. I finally got myself a bracelet mandrel, so I don't have to do that for my bracelets anymore. So those are all strung on. So yeah, those 11-0s I think will be fine. So let me hold it up a little bit closer so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Let's see if we can get focused. There we go. It's a little bit better in focus. So we've got the bamboo 11-0, the 3mm 11-0, bamboo 11-0, 3mm 11-0, bamboo, and then the gold washer, the cube, the gold washer, and then another bamboo. So then I would start over again with the 11-0 and the 3mm and so on and so forth. So that, I think, is going to be our pattern. So let me get one of my little thingies out, measurement tapes, and then kind of get an idea. So this is about 3.5 inches. So if we do this, what are we doing? I've got 6 cubes. So 3.5 inches times 6 is going to be over 18 inches. So if we do 5, that's going to be somewhere around 15, and then a 1/2 inch, so 2, so about 17 inches. So it's still going to be a little bit longer than what I'm looking for. But I always like to have an odd number of whatever it is that I'm doing. So maybe that can be our center point, would be one of the cubes. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do the same type of pattern. And then actually we're going to lose a little bit because we're going to repeat over here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this pattern, and then like I said, after this bead right here, I'm going to start back with the 11-0, the 3mm, and then the 11-0 again. And so we're going to lose a little bit of length with not adding an extra bead. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this rotation 5 times, and then at the end, when I get down here, then I'm going to do this portion one more time. So this will be basically the back of the necklace. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come back, show you what it looks like, see if it's long enough, and we'll see what we'll do from there. See you back in a minute. For me, it'll be a couple of minutes. Alrighty, so how many of you in that previous clip were screaming at me saying, "You're not going to have enough of the gold washers"? I realized that. I got this one on and I went, wait, I'm not going to have enough of the gold washers. So all I did is I just got some of the bead caps out of the bead mix that came in the kit, and I used that for the center. I also ended up adding a couple of seed beads on either side of the bead cap, so that way it allowed the bead cap to be more of the focal point. So the necklace is going to be an 18-inch necklace. I was shooting for a 16, but that's okay. It's still going to look cute. I like the way it turned out. I use up all of the bamboo beads. I use up 5 of the 6 of the cubes, which is good because I think might have a cube that has a crack on the edge right there. So I definitely don't want to use something like this because I do sell my jewelry, so I definitely try not to sell or try not to use any beads that I know that are already cracked like that. And what I end up usually putting these in, I'll show you what I have, just if you're interested. I have just a little jar. It's an old jelly jar that I have all my cracked beads. I have some of my wire because I started to put wire in it and things like that. And but I currently have another jar that's larger than this that I put my wire in now. But this is how I store all my beads. So it ends up being just kind of a cute little decorative thing too. Once it gets filled and stuff, that's what it's going to end up being basically. But it's all the beads that have either clog holes or they're cracked or they're broken in one way, shape, or form, something like that. And there's some Swarovski crystal that are in there and things like that. So just different stuff. So that's how I keep all my extra little beads that might have a little crack in them as decoration. Alrighty, so we've got basically the necklace done. All we need to do now is I'm going to show you how to put on the, what is that called? The crimp tube. And then I think I'm going to use jump rings to add my lobster clasp. So I'm going to do just a little loop with the wire and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to do it on this one, because the necklace is still on the spool right now. So I keep it on the spool so that way I use a lot less that way. But I'll come back and I'll show you how I finish it off after that, because making this portion is going to be the same whether you do it on this side or the other. You just have to cut off your necklace from the spool. So all I'm doing is I add the crimp tube, and then I'm just making just a little bit of a loop, just enough to where I can put a jump ring on, and then it's a comfortable little small loop like that. And then make sure that your wires are not crossed over. Try to get things out of the way so you can see this a little easier. And then I got myself a new magical crimper, which is awesome because it works so much better than my old one. I'm so excited. Alrighty, so I know I'm nerdy sometimes. I'm sorry. There we go. So you just put your crimp tube in the middle of your crimper, and then you squish down. When you squish down once, it should make it into more of a flattened square. Turn it 90 degrees. Put it in the center of your crimper again, and then squish down. And then turn it a little bit and squish. Turn a little bit and squish. So on and so forth, making sure it's in the center each time. And then once you go around the crimp a couple of times, you'll start noticing that there's no more resistance. And I get these crimps done so much faster than I did with my other one, because now you have a little ball of crimp. So nice. So I have heard reports of that in the past from other beaders that use the magical crimper, that sometimes it's really not user error, sometimes it's the actual crimper. So if that is happening to you to where you're not getting a nice little round crimp like that, go ahead and purchase another one and see if that's the case. So I'll put a link down below on where I purchased mine as well. What did I do with my wire cutters? Oh, I put them back up. How about that? I actually put something up. Alrighty, so then all you do now is you just go back through. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and string back through the bamboo. And then I'll cut it off after that. You don't have to do that. It's just kind of a habit I've gotten myself into. And trying to get this to where you can see it, and where I know I'm not cutting off the wrong strand. I have tried to do that before and it's been sad. Alrighty, so that's all you do to add your crimp tube to the product. And see how it just kind of sticks out just a little bit right there. Nice little ball of crimp. Alrighty, so then all I do on this side, I learned this from Becky. You just take about 3 or 4 widths of fingers. Like she always says, cut the wire, not your fingers. And then cut that off the spool. And then add your other crimp to the other side and do the same thing. So go ahead and do that, and I'll do that off screen so you don't have to sit there and watch me mumble on again about how to put on your crimp. And then I'll come back and show you the finished product, because all I'm going to do after that is just add some jump rings, put the lobster on one side, put an extra jump ring on the other side so it has, the lobster has something to clip onto, and then I'll show you the ending product. Necklace I created with the Surf's Up kit. I think I'm going to name it Voyage to Turquoise Bay. I really enjoyed trying something different this time in this video, laying out the beads, sharing my design process, and then coming back to show you the finished piece. Sometimes creativity does help best when the camera is off. So one thing I'm trying a little different on this one. And I really think this necklace helps to kind of capture the spontaneous, beachy inspiration the kit gave me. So if you like this format or the final design, then let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll be the first one to catch my next new video. Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye now.